At 38, I had grown to find a strange comfort in the face that stared back at me each morning from the mirror. Time, for once, had not been cruel. It had moved with grace, etching lines of experience rather than erasing beauty. I had earned every bit of myself, every curve and every glimmer in my eye, not by chance, but through effort. My devotion to fitness, the careful skincare rituals I followed each night, and my unwavering commitment to a cleaner, healthier life, these were my silent allies. They worked in harmony, crafting a version of myself that I could still admire. Michael would often tell me I looked beautiful. He'd brush his fingers against my cheek and say it with sincerity, even admiration, but his words had started to fade into echoes. With his frequent work trips and late nights, there were long stretches when those compliments vanished altogether along with him. That particular morning felt different. Michael had left before sunrise, as he so often did. The house was silent, still wrapped in the soft hues of early light. These were the hours I treasured when the world was quiet and I could finally turn inward and exhale. I moved through the house with slow, deliberate steps and decided to take a long shower, a moment just for me. The bathroom greeted me with soft tile underfoot and warm air thick with steam. I applied a clay mask to my face and let it settle in while I ran the water until it was piping hot. As I stepped into the stream, the sensation was like being wrapped in a cocoon. I closed my eyes and tried to let the water rinse away more than just the mask, my thoughts, my frustrations, my longing. I needed clarity, even if only for a moment. After I stepped out, skin flushed and damp, I reached for a familiar favorite, my red lingerie set. There was something about red. It wasn't just a color, it was a feeling. A whisper of boldness, of power, of womanhood in its most confident form. As I dried my hair, I caught a glimpse of myself in the foggy mirror. Slowly, I peeled away the mask, revealing a face that seemed both familiar and slightly renewed. A stray thought surfaced, one I hadn't expected. Michael would have appreciated seeing me like this. But he wasn't here, he was never here. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe for more real-life reflections and compelling personal stories. Stay with me. This one only gets more intense. In my moment of solitude, I'd forgotten completely that Aiden Michael's son was home. He had only recently returned, still readjusting after a difficult season of personal upheaval. In truth, I hadn't yet gotten used to his presence in the house. Our life had always felt like a duet, just Michael and me. The third voice in the harmony had disrupted my sense of rhythm. So when I heard the bathroom door creak open behind me, my heart lurched into my throat. "Aiden," I gasped, nearly shouting as I scrambled for the towel. There he stood, frozen in the doorway. His eyes shot away from me almost instantly, his expression stricken with embarrassment and uncertainty. He turned his back sharply, muttering, "Elena, I'm so sorry." I didn't know, I thought the bathroom was empty. His voice was shaky, caught between apology and the raw instinct to flee. My hand clutched the towel to my chest, cheeks burning with heat that had little to do with the steam. "Aiden," I said, my voice barely steady. "Ever heard of knocking?" He stammered again, eyes on the floor, before quickly closing the door behind him. But the moment had already happened, etched into both our minds. A mistake, surely. A misunderstanding, a mishap, and yet, why was my heart racing like this? Why had that flash of his gaze left such an odd imprint on me? Was it the shock? Or was there something buried deeper beneath the embarrassment, a jolt of something I wasn't ready to name? As I stood alone, now fully wrapped in my towel, I tried to compose myself. But my mind would not release the image of how he had looked at me. Not with lewdness, not even desire, but with something else. Something stunned. Something human. I stepped toward the mirror once more, my breath still uneven. The red lingerie peeked out beneath the towel, hugging me in all the right places. I took a moment, studying the reflection again, not just of my body, but of the woman I had become. Time had been kind to me, yes. My skin still held its smoothness. My arms remained firm, shaped by years of intentional effort. My hair golden, and healthy framed a face that hadn't yet given into age. I looked alive and strong, and for the first time in a long time seen, but seen by who? That night, I couldn't help but remember how Aiden looked when he stepped out of the shower the other day. His tall, sculpted frame wrapped loosely in a towel. I had noticed, of course I had, and I tried to push it away, but thoughts don't always listen. And feelings, they sneak in through the back door, quiet and persistent. He was handsome. Always had been. But now somehow that realization came with weight. A stirring, a reckoning. Was it loneliness? The absence of Michael? The growing void between us that no longer seemed possible to ignore? Michael, at 47, was successful, brilliant, and driven. But lately, he had become more of a visitor in our home than a partner. We ate together when schedules aligned. We slept in the same bed but existed in separate worlds. I had tried to reignite the spark, I really had. But he was lost in work, and I was losing sight of us. When he returned from a recent trip, he was unusually quiet. At dinner, he looked up and said, "There's a party tomorrow." "We're going." At first, I welcomed the idea. A distraction. A chance to step into something lighthearted. I even dared to hope it might be a chance to reconnect. Just the two of us. I imagined dancing, laughter, a glimpse of the man I had fallen in love with. But before I could sink too deep into that fantasy, Aiden's voice chimed in. "I've got a flight tomorrow night. Heading out to visit a friend," he said casually, as though it meant nothing. And just like that, he'd be gone again. Free to move, free to leave. That was Aiden always chasing something beyond the walls of this home. Michael barely reacted. He just nodded as if it had nothing to do with him. As if none of it did. So I dressed up that night. I chose a red dress fitted, elegant, striking. I wanted Michael to notice. I wanted him to see me. I spent extra time with my makeup, curling my hair, lining my eyes just so, not for anyone else, for him, for us. But part of me, some quiet, complicated part, wondered who else might notice. Everything was done to win Michael's admiration, yet the outcome was far from what was envisioned for him. The party, regardless of how stunning I appeared that night. With Michael remained elusive, planned to venture out with his friends cloaked, in the pretense of a business meeting leaving me solitary at home once. More solitude enveloped me. I solitated a fracture formed deep within mine so tiny enveloped my it. A profound sadness weighed heavily on my heart that night. The moments I had anticipated sharing with him faded away like grains of sand slipping through my grasp upon my return home. I found myself inebriated and solitary. I felt shattered as I ascended the stairs and shed my garments. I couldn't help but notice fade after all the anticipation and dreams of a night with Michael. I stood there still in the dress I wore that night, the makeup slightly smudged. I felt exposed, my irritation intensified. Crimson gown, the carefully applied makeup, all of it amounted to naught in that moment. A profound emptiness enveloped me. Surge of anger welled up within my amidst that turmoil. I realized I had to find a way to navigate through this night hat. Left me feeling so utterly shattered, I swiftly made my way to the kitchen, perhaps a drink, perhaps a cigarette. I found myself in need of a mental cleanse. I simply sought a brief respite, gather my thoughts, and regain my composure. I approached the fridge, filled a glass with alcohol thin, retrieved a pack of cigarettes, and ignited one. Smoke left my throat feeling oddly fatigued with this evening. It seemed as though time had frozen, presenting itself directly before me that instant and unforeseen event unfolded. A footstep echoed through the silence, drawing my gaze swiftly to the kitchen door. Aiden had returned to the familiar embrace of home. His return was a bewildering mystery, leaving me momentarily speechless, grappling with the questions of when and why he had reappeared. I'd envisioned a serene evening spent in solitude with Michael. The sight of Aiden standing before me stirred an unexpected response within me. Aiden had initially intended to depart, yet the course of his friends' plans shifted unexpectedly, in the cancellation of his flight and eventuality I had never even contemplated. Now here we stood, in the heart of the kitchen. I found myself rooted in the kitchen, a swirl of confusion enveloping me as I beheld Aiden before me, his presence entirely unforeseen there. I stood clad in black lace lingerie, an unexpected sight for anyone it was precisely. How he discovered me, inhaled deeply, attempting to avert my gaze from him, a wave of embarrassment washing over me. Apologize, Aiden, I murmured, my voice quivering slightly. I had no idea you were present. I must admit, I didn't expect it to feel so strange. To encounter you here, I bowed my head, avoiding any chance of meeting their gazemits. The tumult of emotions swirling within me. Found myself at a loss for words, yet Aiden, with an air of unruffled composure, approached me without a hint of surprise. In his eyes a subtle change occurred. He took a brief pause, then gently inquired, "Why are you crying, Elena? What has caused you to feel this way?" His voice carried a distinct qualitative time, resonating with a sincerity that felt more profound, more impactful. Eyes appeared to penetrate deep into my very essence as he approached. A smile graced his lips, yet it was more than a mere expression. It danced in his eyes as well-made thoughts swirled chaotic life, for I was acutely aware of my emotions in that instant. His influence reached beyond the physical, resonating deeply within my emotions. My emotions were a tangled web, yet there was an entirely distinct sensation stirring within me. Aiden's gaze held a sincerity that, rather than instilling fear, drew me closer. To him, his words only served to deepen the confusion swirling within me. I gradually opened my eyes. I gazed upward and beheld the genuine look etched upon his featureless gaze. Was so intensive it seemed he was not merely near me in body, but also deeply connected to my emotions. In that fleeting instant, I sensed the depth of my brokenness, weight of frustration settling in as the night I had envisioned slipped away from my grasp. Tears began to stream down my cheeks. Aiden approached. He murmured, "Eleanor, you aware of the beauty that resides within you?" His words brought a flicker of relief, yet they also left me in a state of astonishment. Michael's preoccupation with work has kept him from showering you with the attention you truly deserve, he continued, yet you, with your unique beauty and charme, deserving of this night and all its wondrous words, offered a measure of solace. My emotions remained in disarray. Turmoil within me was so intricate and profound that even the proximity to him kept everything from returning to its usual state. Ian's eyes held a depth that drew me in, making it easy to lose myself within their gazine. That instant my thoughts came to a standstill, and gradually I moved another step closer. To him, Aiden remained motionless, his eyes wide with astonishment. As I advanced a step closer to him, the shift in his gaze was palpable, leaving me bewildered by the tumult of feelings swirling within. In that fleeting moment, turmoil within me collided with an irresistible ergetto, pressed my lips against his. In that fleeting instant, my only desire was to draw nearer to him and surrender. Completely in a fleeting surge of emotion, I pressed my lips against Aiden's, set and folded in an instant, catching me completely off guard. With my eyes shut the moment our lips to shed, it felt as though time itself had come to a standstill. The warmth enveloped meth, quickened rhythm of my heart, and the tautness in his form, each sensation conspired to erase all else. In a heartbeat in that moment, I sensed Aiden poised, anticiping my kiss in return. Moment lingered longer than it should, having mystically revealed the intensity of his reaction gradually. As his hand found its place on my waist, the space that once separated us vanished entirely. In an instant, the intricate tapestry of emotions within me transformed into an overwhelming surge of longing. Gupin. Hearing his breath, I instinctively drew myself nearer to him. Swiftly, we glided from the kitchen into the living room, our lips remaining locked in a fervent embrace. With each stride, our bodies met the wall sin, and that charged moment wind held each other closer as Aiden's hands explored my body, moved instinctively, carried by emotion into the living room, and made our way toward the living room door. In that moment, we unexpectedly found ourselves on the couch on the living room side by side. Breathless, Aiden had abandoned his pants in the kitchen beside the couch, while my black lace underwear rested on the floor. The peculiarity of the moment struck my it simultaneously. I found myself utterly adrift. I blinked awake and gazed at him, inhaling deeply, observing the rapid escalation of events. I caught a glimpse of my own expression and offered a faint smileless eyes revealed the depth of his feelings for me. He inhaled deeply, met my gaze, and asked, "Elena, had transpired what prompted us to take this action?" I felt a mix of surprise and relief as I followed his gaze. Words eluded me, yet the need to express myself was undeniably unfolded in a surge of passion. I confessed, my gaze flickering toward him, yet I'd find myself at a loss yearning to release the emotions that dwell within me. Believe there was no alternative to spending this night as I made a knot at his fingers, weaving gently through my hairies. It's truly wrong for us to draw this closely. Inquired Aiden's hands rested on my waist. This touch lingered longer than it should have, a deepening the emotional weight of the moment, leaving an indelible mark with each fleeting moment. My breath caught in my throat as he gazed into my eyes. Inhaled deeply, gradually leaning in closer to me. He started to speak as though he were revealing something profound. I found myself ensnared in the web of betrayal. Elena, he reflected on the struggles he had faced, but at this moment he felt an entirely new sense of buying. The genuine quality of his voice took me aback, yet it also brought a sense of comfort that advanced another step, and I found myself adrift in the profound depths of his gaze. There is an undeniable closeness between us. These emotions catch me off guard, yet I sense your presence, Elena. Your presence is palpably as if you are right beside me. In a fleeting moment, a whirlwind of emotions surged within me, and my heart raced with fervor. Aiden's words revealed the peculiar intricacies of our situation, yet in that instant I sensed a palpable connection. The intimacy of his presence, the way he drew nearer to my thoughts swirling in my mind, resonated with me in a profoundly different manner. Gently, as I reconnected with his gaze, I whispered I was alone. Aiden's solitude enveloped my. Now the landscape of my life has transformed entirely. For the first time I experienced this sensation, youthful, exhalated, and adrift. A sense of change washes over me. Murmured my voice, quivering in that moment, articulating my emotions, proved to be a formidable challenge. The sensations Aiden evoked within me were undeniably tangibly. That moment the door swung open, a voice emerged. Elena. Michael stepped through the door, his eyes widening in disbelief at the sight of us both. In that instant, time stood still. Time appeared to stand still, Aiden, and I locked gazes, a moment suspended. Intemporalized by uncertainty, Michael grappled with the tumult of emotions swirling within him. His face a canvas painted with shock and anguish. He sought to unravel the mystery of what was unfolding between. Yesh's eyes widened, and for a fleeting moment became still, suspending his breath in the air. And that was the moment when chaos erupted. What the hell is going on, Hurry? Exclaimed, his voice laced with a rough edge of anger. In a heartbeat, chaos erupted, and everything unraveled. Michael's voice thundered with such intensity and fury that it seemed to rattle the very walls of the house. His eyes were filled with a tumult of anger and disappointment. What on earth is happening? Hurry inquired, yet almost immediately it became less about the question itself and more about the fury and resentment etched across his features. Pivoted towards Aiden, his hands trembling as he pointed at him. Leave this place. I need to tell you, no longer have a place in this house. Declared, she is my wife. Esh is your mother. It was unwise to involve her in this matter. What on earth were you thinking? How could you both simply overlook me in such a manner? Words eluded me. Shock enveloped me completely. My eyes brimmed with unshed tears, yet I held them back. In that moment, Michael cast the blame upon moving a narrative where everything seemed to rest squarely on my shoulders. What was I meant to express? Was I capable of addressing his freewee? Elena, hat on earth prompted you to do this? Michael pressed on. Undeterred, what have I done to deserve the show? Can one come to terms with the loss of both their husband and their son? In such a merrier gaze met mine. Yet the words that escaped your lips were nothing but falsehoods. All I experienced was a profound sense of being shattered within, yet not a solitary word escaped my lips. My eyes brimmed with tears, yet despite the weight of my sorrow, I found myself unable to utter a single word. Nothing was destined to shift, I was certain of that. Then Michael exclaimed, oh, come on, leave now. This house no longer has room for the both of you, was urging us toward the exit. Aiden and I shared a moment toward gazes. Intertwining silence enveloped us for a time, yet unspoken understanding lingered, reveling the turmoil we each harbored within. After a moment of contemplation, Aiden spoke with a serene demeanor, suggesting, let's go. I inclined my head in acknowledgement. It's time for us to leave this place. Upon stepping outside, the tears flowed endless. Life weight of guilt within was so immense that even tears could not provide solace. My mind was in a whirl. Uncertainty enveloped me, leaving me at a loss for direction. Everything Unfolded in a whirlwind, I had plunged into action without a moment's thought, and now I found myself ensnarled in the chaos that was unraveling around, mebbing with Aiden the weight of the pain. I had paused him, consumed me. How could I have possibly allowed this to happen? I murmured softly to myself, my hands shielding my face as tears continued to flow. What words did I share with Michael? In what ways did I fail? And with each step, the weight of regret intensified. I was acutely aware of my uncertainty. A part of me held on to the hope that these emotions would eventually fade away with the passage of time. Aiden withdrew, yet his departure sparked a fleeting flicker of hope within me, only for an instant perceived take the plunge. Everything is about to change for me now, I remarked, my gaze following him as he walked away. I advanced yet another moment into the future in solitude. Even amidst the shadows that enveloped me, found the promise of light once more. In that fleeting moment, I inhaled deeply, unearthing a reservoir of strength from within. I would find a way to navigate this challenge. I would rediscover my essence once more. A new beginning would unfold. If you've journeyed to this point, it's clear the tale has captured your imagination. There is an abundance of insights to convey, and you certainly won't want to overlook a single moment of it. Sure to tap the follow button, notifications, and share your thoughts in the comments on this telling. Eager to hear your insights, so let's engage in the comments.